neck of the woods with another one. This video is a follow-up to the follow-up of my most recent video, Black Families and Inheritances Part 2. This video is Part 3. Also, the original Black Families video that I made 3 months ago, called Black Families and the Need for Black Families to Apply More Due Diligence in Regards to Inheritances. Okay, so I made that video about 3 months ago, and I was reading the comments of that video, and a commenter who's a subscriber of mine by the name of Brother Coffee, he requested that I do this particular video, in which I briefly touched on in that video that I got beat out of my own inheritance earlier in my young adult life. So he requested this video. I apologize, Brother Coffee, and also shout out to you. I remember your request. I try to remember everyone's request. And yeah, here's this video. I apologize for the long wait and delay. And be sure to shout yourself out in the comment section. So here it is. So this video is Black Families and Inheritance Part 3. How my narcissistic aunt beat me out of my inheritances. And this is the same narcissistic aunt that I briefly referred to in another recent video, and where I told you I had an argument with my uncle recently when I went to Tennessee on vacation to visit. And it's the same narcissistic aunt. So there you go. And also for you guys, and I know you guys probably have a lot of questions, and I will probably answer them. Just send a comment in the comment section. But me doing this video, as far as her beating me out of my inheritance, that is not the only reason why I don't talk to her. Actually, it's the first beginning reason. It's the beginning of my aunt taking off her narcissistic mask. And even after she took off her narcissistic mask, I was still wet behind the ears and naive and green and dumb. And I didn't really want to believe that she was what she was, or that she was this horrible bad person, because growing up she spoiled me. Now I got to give you a little backstory to what I'm talking about. So she spoiled me. She spoiled me when I was a kid, from the time I was a little baby up until really my mom passed away. And actually, she started spoiling me less and less because I started to realize that she had taken off her mask. She probably had already taken off her mask, maybe. I just really didn't know it at the time. And I think she knew it too, so she kept the mask on as long as she could. She kept that mask on for a very long time. To any of you who are subscribers of mine, you guys need to look up some videos talking about narcissism and narcissistic people. I know you guys talk about, black women this, black women or that. And I agree with that. I agree. I'm not criticizing that. Or some people say, women are narcissistic. And look, anyone could be narcissistic. I believe women are by nature more narcissistic, but you need to just take it off of the gender issue for this moment. Yes, I am referring to a woman, and yes, she's very narcissistic. Just don't lose that point, though. Just focus on the narcissistic part. But anyhow, so my aunt, she spoiled me. It wasn't right now, me, neck of the woods, right now, I'm 36 years old. And looking way back, as far back as I can remember, I can safely say my aunt did not do this for love. I now believe that, and I now see it now that I've studied traits and characteristics of narcissistic people. She did it to make herself look good. There you go. That's part of being a narcissist. Wasn't it? She did it. It made herself look good. It made herself look important, and people bought into it. People who were not in the know. People who didn't realize it. So that's why she spoiled me, and so that's that. That's the little backstory. I'll get back to something else in a minute. My mom, my mom, when she passed, and also she spoiled me knowing that my mom was abusive to me. My mom was abusive and everything, and that was another way of getting over. I feel like she was being insidious toward me. You shouldn't just go to people's children and befriend them with gifts. That's there's something up with that. So now, as far as with my mom, now my mom, when she passed away, she left me $36,000. She left me $36,000. She worked for the state of California, and I guess all of this money had accumulated within the beneficiary fund some kind of way. It was calculated, and it ended up. My mom had, by the time she passed away, she had worked for the state. She worked for EDD, and she worked for over 9 years, coming up to 10 years, and it was $36,000. Now, when she passed away, bam, okay. Now we're going through this grieving process, the death, the burial, the whole nine. Now, it was left to me. All $36,000 was left to me in my name, my real name, not neck of the woods, but okay, but my real name. And my grandmother, oh my goodness, and that she just could not deal with it because her child had died. Okay, I get that. So my grandmother did not know any other way, so she passed it on to my narcissistic aunt. Now my granny knew that there was going to be some shit into it, but she did not have any other way. Also, my aunt probably would have worried my grandmother uh, to death even quicker if she hadn't passed this uh, problem over to her anyway. My aunt is a successful businesswoman. She has her own real estate company. She's CEO of her own real estate company in Tennessee, and she's used to handling legal documents and business. And I guess, so like, my aunt knows how to read these documents, even relating to, I guess, deaths and the beneficiaries of that. So my aunt claimed it. Basically, it ended up being instead of me getting $36,000, I received $12,000. My grandmother received $12,000. I guess that was supposed to be like hush money to kind of keep my grandmother quiet because this was some wrongdoing. And then my aunt received $12,000. Now, in defense of my grandmother knew this was wrong. And my grandmother loved me dearly. I believe she did, to my knowledge. And that's what I feel, and that's what I believe. So my grandmother, it basically felt that was my money. So I actually had access to that. I had access to that, to her quote unquote $12,000. And then my aunt got $12,000. Now you're like, how did she get that? Well, my aunt claimed that, well, the burial to move my mom's body all the way from California to Tennessee, have her buried in Tennessee, and the burial and the funeral arrangements, and that's going to cost money. Also, my aunt at that time, she was dating a funeral home director. So, and he was gonna like give like a discount. It wasn't gonna cost that much because he's her boyfriend and he deals with this a lot. I think there's more to it than that. Unbeknownst to me, I probably will never find out the full truth. What I'm telling you is what I know, as far as I know, and it's a big mystery to me. The whole story of it all is a big mystery. All I know is my mom passed away. She left me $36,000. I believe this is what is let on to me. Um, she left me $36,000, and then that $36,000 was split three different ways. I believe there was probably something else my mom had that I don't know about, and my aunt probably got a hold of that, but I can't prove that. So there you have it. That's the beginning of my aunt taking off her mask. My aunt continued to play this good aunt role toward me because I was still wet behind the ears and deaf, dumb, and blind and under illusions. But I slowly snapped out of it. By the time I moved to Tennessee as a result of my mom's death. I was forced to do that. And because I was still 17, I wasn't an adult. I asked my raggedy piece of shit dad to let me stay with him because I wanted to continue to live out here and live my life out here, but that wasn't gonna happen. He said no. He turned that down. Piece of shit, and I'm glad he did. It probably would have went haywire even then. So, um, so I'm living in Tennessee for 7.5 years. I went to college there, graduated, whatever, and I moved back out here. But during that time, but I eventually saw the mask that my aunt had pulled off of her face. She just started. She held it together for a while. I was really that slow. I'm being honest with you guys. I'm not gonna. I was really that slow, and she was really that good. A combination of the perfect storm, and and it was so bad. And then what really did it for me, what really opened my eyes, before my grandmother passed away, my grandmother told me all the raggedy, fucked up bullshit that my aunt did. So, and no one ever did that before. You know, my grandmother and a couple other people wanted to tell me how my aunt really was, but I was so into, because what all my aunt would need to do is give me a gift. See, that's what I'm telling you. It's not just about the money. It's not just about the gifts. My aunt could have kept on giving me gifts if I was just willing to put up with her bullshit. Also, when my grandmother died, before I go, I'm going to tell you this other piece of fucked up bullshit that my narcissistic aunt did. Another piece, not just one, another of the many. Um, so when my grandmother passed away, and my grandmother had a beneficiary for me too, and it was for $5,000. Not a whole lot. Hey, it is what it is. I love my grandmother. I wish she was here instead of the money. But hey, we're talking about inheritances. She left me $5,000. You know, my raggedy aunt stole that from me and took every last bit of that. So there you go. That's how I got screwed. I got screwed twice out of my inheritances from my aunt. And that is all I got to say on this matter.